Celebrate women in ICT, and it's always a pleasure when you choose us as the national broadcaster. My name is Sandra Kahunde, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation. We are live, and we're coming to you from Broadcast House, and live venue just next to the August House. I have great women in studio as far as today is concerned. This lovely Thursday, 16th day of March, 2023. Well, there's a lot to share when it comes to the ICT sector and the women themselves. Is it because they lack the mentors, the role models, or there's bias and gender, gender sensitivity when it comes to them being given the front seat, the managerial positions, other than lagging behind? That and much more for this particular edition. And to discuss that, I'm joined by Anyu Rachel, Enterprise Solutions Architect, MTN Uganda, and I'm joined by Immaculate Inomjisha, Technical Associate at Fundi Bolt. You'll also be seeing Maureen Karamaji, Managing Director, that is African School of Innovation, Science and Technology, E2 Young Engineers, Uganda. And right next to me, I'm having Agnes Lomala, Registrar, UICT. You're most welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, this is Agnes Lumala, just next to me. And next to Agnes, I'm having Immaculate. Immaculate, good morning.
Good morning.
Rachel, right there, dressed
morning,
in lovely
Sandra.
pink. Good morning to you. And I'm having Maureen.
Good morning.
Nice to have you on set this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Straight into our conversation. Who would love to go first? I want to get to know how you, what you exactly do before we get to know how you got where you are. Because I'm sure the ladies out there, the students in the universities, and they will be like, can I really be like them? Can I really be an engineer? And those who are still searching out for employment, they're like, maybe they could be knowing someone in a high-end, in some offices out there, they could be knowing someone who connected them to those particular positions they're having at the moment. Would love to hear from you. I'll start over with Maureen at the extreme end. What inspired you to do what you're doing at the moment?
My inspiration comes from the need to nurture children, because my space is occupying children into the STEM field. STEM is science, engineering, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So my inspiration is, as we grew up, there was this bias of, girls can't do sciences. But then I realized it was because from the start, we were not nurtured into loving science subjects. So I got into this field to be able to nurture children of 4 to 15 in the STEM field, so they can grow up appreciating sciences and knowing that that is where they need to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, so that is lacking at the moment. The grooming, instead of grooming the girl child into knowing how to do the house chores, how to raise children, that also lacks in our society.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, moving on to Rachel. Tell us exactly what you do at MTN and how did you get there? What inspired you?
Thank you, Sandra. My name is Rachel Anyu, and I'm a telecommunications engineer by profession. At MTN, I'm an enterprise solutions architect, and what I do is design and implement IT solutions to support the business operations, as well as designing digital products for the consumer market. For me, I would say, growing up, I went to one of the best schools in this country. It's an all-girls school, and it was never a question of girls can't do sciences, because I was surrounded by brilliant girls, and every day, year on year, they demonstrated that girls could excel in this field. So for me, there was never a doubt. It simply came down to a question of interest. So I have a knack for problem solving, and so math and physics came naturally to me. And this inspired me to pursue a degree in telecommunications engineering. And from one of the first job I got, it involved a lot of field work. And so when I was doing my work, I had to go up country and climb towers, install equipment. So it was during one of those operations were installing next to a school that I met a gentleman who asked me, how did you get into this space? He asked me to talk to the girls in the school, and I could see myself inspiring other girls. So for me, it has never been a question of girls can't do. I know I can do it. And currently I'm enjoying my work, and I'm seeing more ladies in my space, and it's a true inspiration.
Amazing. A great story. And well, just moving right to Immaculate. How did you get to Fundi Boats, and what exactly do you do there? What inspired you to be in that particular field?
Well, thank you so much, Sandra. My name is Immaculate. I am currently an acting program lead for Fundi at Work program, and I am a technical associate at Fundi Boats. So basically what we do at Fundi Boats is we do robotics training for young children right from the age of 6 up to 25 years, that is university. And how I got to Fundi Boats is I was very passionate, like right away after my university, there came a program of HEST that was being done by HEST, and they were looking for people who are trying to get into the graduate training, training that you go on to do after your university. And I felt this is a program that I would enroll for to enhance my skills after the university. So that is how I got into Fundi Boats. When I reached Fundi Boats, I was like, this is the real place that I've been yearning for. For all my university life, I think I had not done the practical that I actually got to do at Fundi Boats. So for me, that was something that was outstanding for me after my university. So I got skills during that internship training at Fundi Boats, and I was like, I am a passionate person-to-person information or knowledge. I really liked the education sector and being able to pass on skills to others. So I was like, I think Fundi Boats is a place for me. So after my graduate training of 3 months, I applied, and I'm like, how can I actually transfer this knowledge to the other learners in this space? And I joined in Fundi Boats as a teaching assistant, and later on I was a teaching associate, and right now I am a technical associate, basically under the Fundi at Work program, handling internship program. Like currently we are having students that are doing internship at our space. And for me, that gives me joy when I see people really being innovative through the different projects that they are working on. So that for me gives me that joy, and that's how I have been able to reach where I am right now.
Mm-hmm. The other challenges we have at the moment, one finishes school, by the time they land somewhere for internship is also another hassle.
So it is another hustle, but what I have to say is that you have to be intentional and look out for what you need. And I think sometimes the spaces are there, but we are not that proactive to look out for the spaces. I remember one time someone says that your network is your net worth. So we have different forms of places where we can connect, social media, but sometimes you find that people in your circle are actually not helping you. So I feel like for the opportunities like internships and what, always reach out to organizations. And if you feel like you are interested in a given organization, give them a call, reach out to them, and position yourself really. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we shall be hearing that and much more from the other ladies as well, to get to know how the young ladies out there will also tap into this whole space that you're enjoying. I move on to Agnes. How are you doing, and how is ICT? What inspired you to get there?
Thank you, Sandra. Again, my name is Agnes Frida Namulindwa Lumala. I cut out the middles for you. And I am the registrar at the Uganda Institute of Information and Communications Technology. Mm-hmm. They usually jump the plural. Mm-hmm. It's an ICT specialized institute by the government of Uganda under the Ministry of ICT, and it's managed and operated by the Uganda Communications Commission. So I am a computer scientist, and an educationist. I've been in computer science education since 2003. I started off my journey in statistics, in statistical computing. So if we go to my inspiration, for me it's more stimulus that got me into this space. And at a very early age, I had the stimulus. Both my parents are medical, so there was a really science environment around me from very early. Quite a number of my family members are teachers of mathematics. Interestingly, the women, the female. So very, very early, these things were around me, and probably I didn't have to think much about them. But at a later stage, especially as I went through secondary school, and indeed I also went to one of the best schools in this country, not an old girls' school, but another one.
That is what we'll get into some.
Yeah, so for me it was a mixed space. But even when I was there, this influence of the background, very early I had a female mathematics teacher. Mm-hmm. Her name was Assumpta. I know she's alive. I'm not sure where now. And quickly she pointed that I was good at numbers, I needed to do them well, and there was a lot of effort on her about me and numbers. So when I got to secondary school, at that time the space had quite, I can say quite fixed professions that were pronounced. The career guidance usually told you to be a lawyer, a teacher, a doctor. If they stretched a bit, they told you to be an accountant. And I think my father sensed that very fast, and he quickly jumped to the conversation around other things. Actually, he directly introduced statistics and everything it does. So he was now appealing to the numbers that I liked a lot. And
was it flowing with you? Because at times we tend to force the children to get into the lines we are in, to get into our plan, yet they also have their own interests.
Yeah, it did a lot, because he, right from very, very early when I was little, for us it's been a conversation. Everything, me and him, has been a conversation. Even discipline has been a conversation. Even tough love has been a conversation. Yes.
So for you, it's not like the men are not giving support to the women to enjoy that space.
Not for me specifically.
Mm-hmm. You had support. The person who lifted your hand was a man.
Yes, and not just one. Even when I got into all my space has been littered with men saying, come, it's you come and do it.
And the role models you've been having? Just men.
And the role models, I can't say men. I told you about those women.
Yes.
But the support, I think I'm one of those females who got the support from men without them putting it in my face that they are doing it to lift a female. If that's what they were doing, thank you very much to them, but it was never in my face.
Okay, let's move to Maureen right there. You are a founder dealing with innovations there. You're helping the young ones be skilled when it comes to innovation and the engineering itself. How are you doing it?
Thank you, Sandra. So our program is mainly for children, 4 to 15 years. The Young Engineers Program. It is imparting skills, STEM skills, to children of that age, with an aim of nurturing scientists of tomorrow, innovators, creative thinkers, problem solvers. So how we run the program, we are in schools for the children that are in school, or weekend centers, or holiday camps. The children, it's an enrichment program. So it enriches the already existing curriculum to teach those skills, preparing these children for the ever-changing demand of the 21st century workforce.
What are some of those innovations that can easily be created to empower all of us to benefit as women and the society itself?
As women and the society, as women and the society at large, as the children are learning, they are putting together pieces, putting together models. They can explain to you that for a car to move, this is how gears are transmitted. So in that, they are using their mind to think creatively. They can identify problems, maybe climate change problems, and when they are in the robotics class, they can be able to put up models that can solve such a problem. For example, we had a competition last year, and the children came up with robots that could solve the climate change issues of flooding and drought. So the children could actually design those models. You see the robot carrying water from one place to another place that is facing drought. And in that, the minds are thinking and creating to be ready for the ever-changing environment.
Well, away from the other challenges that you face, like to be accepted in society by the men, to be fronted into the managerial positions, are there other barriers that we have? For example, say the cybercrime itself. I'll get to the telecom person right there from MTN. How do you handle such? What can be done? How do you manage? Have you had such a challenge itself? It has been smooth. How can we address such challenges? That the barriers that hinder you to enjoy your space. It can be a pass. It could be a pass. Maybe someone has experienced such barriers as far as your work is concerned, and how have you managed to pull through?
Well, for me, I wouldn't say I've faced a specific challenge. However, for people who might be facing certain challenges, either bias or could be lack of confidence. For me, in this space, I've found that men are very confident. So I learn from them. I get into a space and I trust that I am qualified enough, I am old enough, I am prepared enough to be in that space, and I deserve to be there. So it's basically about how you present yourself and how you prepare yourself for whatever opportunities might come your way.
Well, Immaculate, what can be done to handle such barriers for some? Not everyone would have a happy day, or things happen at the end of the day. How can we address such barriers for every woman to enjoy the space when it comes to ICT?
Thank you so much. And for me, some of the challenges that I have faced in the STEM world or in the ICT world is that I think that the ladies, there is still lack of mentorship. There is still lack of role models that these ladies have to look out for, and it really rolls down back to from childhood all the way up to the university. Do we have intentional career guidance for actually the girl child, and giving them that hope that actually they can really do better in STEM? They can be as good as the men, their counterparts in STEM. So I feel like the issue of mentorship is not something that we need to take lightly, but it is something that I think organizations need to look into. And like for us at Fundibots, we are very intentional about the girl child, and we have a program of the Fundi Girls. So under Fundi Girls, we are doing different activities to actually empower, not empower, I think empower is really a big word, but we are putting in more efforts to look out for these girls in the STEM field and give them that confidence So say we have like the Champion Talk series where we are looking out for women who have made it in STEM, and we have these sessions with the girls. You know, sometimes when you have no one to look up to, then sometimes it's also disappointing if you want to be an electrical engineer and all the electrical engineers you have in your space are actually men. So you might have that thing of, I think as a woman I cannot do it. So it is something that we need to be intentional about, different organizations, and it needs to come right away from the root steps, like from childhood. These children, these girls need to have role models in this space, and we need to be intentional about that. And I think something that I've realized the other time I was on an event organized by SafeBoard, and they were talking about the digital inclusion of women in ICT and something of the sort. And someone mentioned that there is a time they put out an advert to look out for animators. No ladies were showing up, and yet the producer manager was actually a lady. So when they got all the applications, they were like, no, it cannot be. I think let's go out and look out for. They went on Google and looked out for the women who are animators, and it's surprising that they actually got the best animators from there. So I feel like somehow with the traditional, the bias and everything, somehow the women are also left behind in terms of the information, and so it is something that we need combined hands to really have this.
Okay. Agnes, would you love to add a voice to that?
A very brief one, because I think they've said the main barrier, bias. Mm-hmm. I do a lot on the side of mentorship. I've mentored my own females. I handpicked them from my classes when I taught at university, and I mentored them, and I put a lot of effort on them, because for me, my journey has been a lot of cheerleading. So I believe that cheerleading is important at all stages. But there's also one other mistake we are making with these females. For instance, it is common for you to hear, as they send a girl to school, someone saying, and if you come back with 80% in mathematics, you know what you are doing? As she starts off, she has no idea it is difficult or simple. Yes. It's an empty slate, and now you've written something on it. You are going to affect those things that come to her naturally. So I do a lot to tell people, let's not interfere with their paths, especially that I handle the younger ones a lot. And I say, whatever support you are giving on this female arena, can it be in their backyard? And they don't sense it directly for it to affect what they would otherwise have done. But lately, I'm driving the agenda of us riding on this bias.
Wow.
So when they put out a call, in the technical space, and everyone is saying, I don't know if the ladies will apply. That's the reason I apply.
Reason. Yes, you need to go for it.
And I'm encouraging women and saying, let's ride on these stereotypes and widen the space. And it's interesting what it has done. Currently, IEEE is just opening in the institute, and I've been informed the biggest number of those who have actually signed up for student membership are the girls. So I don't know what has happened, but it is from that go, let's use the stereotypes. They are not true. Let's go over them.
Well, still on that note of support and going for it as women and the girls out there, what needs to be done in our nation? Where do we stand as a country? When it comes to Uganda in general, where do we stand? Have you gotten all the support you need?
Not exactly. There is a lot of bureaucracy. For example, our program being a curriculum, it's a curriculum designed from Israel and approved by the Harvard School of Education, approved by the European Commission, and it's age-based. So you would think that the government or the Ministry of Education would embrace such a curriculum for the entire country, so that every child gets to be exposed, because that is where we are going. We want the children to be able to be equipped with the 21st century skills, to be able to compete on the ever-demanding workforce, but the country is not enabling us. So the support is quite small. We go there, you meet them, but the bureaucracy is a lot. So there is need for them to come up. And when they're designing their programs, 2040 vision, you see it there, but somehow they never come down to see who can implement it.
It still stays in the shadows somehow along the way. And whose fault is it?
The leadership.
It's the leadership. If you happen to be the Minister of
Education.
ICT Education.
Because we have shown up and told them we are here, we can help you fill that gap. But the support is not coming through as fast as it should. Yeah.
Wow. Good stuff, great ideas for you who has just joined in. Good to know you as you're watching the National Broadcaster. We're here to celebrate women in ICT, and there's really a lot to share. I'm having brilliant minds here, innovators and engineers. Assuming you were given an opportunity, and okay, let me see if I can put myself in such shoes. If you had an opportunity and just here you're looking at the President of the nation or maybe a minister in charge of ICT right here where we are, what would you tell them? What are some of those things that you'd cite out? She talked about mentorship and the bias being handled and more support. Imagine if you were talking to His Excellency, what are some of those issues, the burning ones that you would not even leave out?
I would tell him to come out and support the programs that are nurturing children, the next generation. Because our generation is already a mess somehow, but we need to look at the next, the children that we are birthing now. So I would tell him clearly, come and support this program. Because the programs are expensive to run, reaching the whole country is not easy, and as an individual, it may not come out well or faster as it should. So I would tell him clearly, this is the curriculum, this is the program, come up and support it. Either encourage or direct the ministry to put it on their agenda, on their curriculum, or whoever is concerned, and let's move the country ahead.
Okay. Well, Rachel, what would your thoughts be when it comes to that point? What would you tell him?
I would simply add my voice to Maureen's and call for support. Like she said, in the education sector, invest in the children, because this is the future. They are our future. And the reality is the future we are facing is digital. So they need to be equipped with the skills, otherwise we'll be left behind. Case in point is during the COVID outbreak, our schools remained closed for 2 years. And while the world moved on, other children continued to study digitally because they had the infrastructure and facilities easily accessible across their nations. For us, we did not have such a privilege, so our children lost out on 2 years. And now you can imagine how long it will take them to recover those 2 years, but also they lack the skills that their counterparts in other parts of the world have gotten. They are tech savvy. They have digital skills right from a very young age. So programs like what Maureen is doing, and I want to applaud you.
Thank you.
Yes, empowering the young generation. These are programs that can take our nation to the next stage. The other thing I would say is open up channels for internet access. We have seen that there have been a few policies that have countered this effort, and they have actually widened the digital divide in our country, leading us to lag behind. But putting in place policies that enable internet access, partnering with private sector players that are in this space, MTN is a classic example, enabling them to bring internet access down to the grassroots, and enabling even the child in the deepest village to be able to access the internet, because there is a wealth of knowledge on the internet. But if you block this access, this child will forever be left in darkness. So for me, that would be my plea to the president.
Sounds convincing, I should say. Immaculate, what would your thoughts be in regards to your experience at Fundi Boards?
Thank you so much. So if I really had the chance to meet the president, this would be my appeal, like this whole thing of theoretical education right from childhood up to, because I've seen other countries like where I find from childhood you're nurtured in line of what your profession is. But right now, if you asked me maybe why I studied the Canadian playlist, I would not find their relevance right now in my field. So if we had a chance of doing something what you're passionate about right from childhood, and we model our education system in that line, I would be very grateful to the president implementing that. And also a case in point, like some of the government being able to support some of these organizations that have come up to bridge the gap that we are having in our education system. Case in point, like at Fundi Boards, we have what we call the enhanced science curriculum. So with this enhanced science curriculum, we are looking out to make science very easy to understand for the students while in class. So what we do, we look out for topics that are in the national curriculum and then design tools that can be used in class for the learners to actually understand given concepts. Say there is a concept of magnetism. Someone has learned that like poles repel and unlike poles attract. But they actually cannot conceptualize this.
It's just cram work at the end of the day to pass the examination.
And then forget. It's what we used to use in school. You cram, you pass, and then forget. But with our approach that we are coming up with Fundi Boards is that we actually come up with these tools if we are explaining the concept of magnetism and maybe that property of unlike poles. So we are having magnets in class, and actually the learners are seeing the repulsion taking place because a north pole is next to a north pole. A south pole is next to a north pole, and now they are able to attract. So when a learner understands that, I feel like when they come to the examination, they will not actually forget because they have interacted with it.
And they will definitely relate easily on a day-to-day life
experience.
So
if the government is really able to support initiatives like those, I feel like we would be very far as a country. Thank you.
Wow, great ideas. Rachel, Agnes, what would be your thought when it comes to that? Imagine he's just next to you. Or the Minister of ICT, and is like, what would you wish for me to do for you so that you can enjoy your space, and the younger ones who are following right behind you?
Thank you, Sandra. For me, being government, it's different.
You can appreciate.
Yeah, but I would still call because I've listened to them very carefully and I've picked a few things that I'll tell you when I say my call. So my call would really be to increase the resource envelope, because all these things they are talking about are actually already planned for, they are designed, some activities are already going on, and I'll name for you for each of their issues. She talked about them wanting to drive this technology right from the ground, and they are taking it from an innovation angle. And that is already in two ways. Number one, the skilling has now gone down. The ICT was passed down as a subject. So you can see that there is already government effort to drive that agenda. The innovation is now the biggest priority of the Ministry of ICT. And I'm sure as UBC on this wagon, being one of the MDAs I share space with. But now I am hearing that, for instance, they don't know about what the innovation hubs are doing. For instance, in the innovation space, there's a lot of space for her. We host the National ICT Hub in Nakawa. And in that hub, I see a snap of a finger collaboration to deliver that program. We have the mandate on the education side. So if we ride on each other's backs, then we activate what government has given. So I'm hearing that, you know, we need to make these things available.
And
for them a lot
for everyone
more.
to get to know that they do exist.
Exactly.
Actually.
The visibility.
Yes, very true.
Then she talked about internet, and there's all these connectivity programs under UCC, some of which we are contributing. We are taking digital literacy around the country. They are together with us in the Innovation Hub, delivering the MTNS. So when you listen to them, you know, you take time to note these things that are saying visibility, visibility, visibility. She talked about a theory-based education. Now there's the competence-based, sorry, I ended up exclaiming, but we know that the secondary school has, you know, has that new drill. On our side, we are rolling on a skills-based training, and this is driven by the new, not new, by the enhanced technical vocational education training that's going on by government in this country. We have lots of partners on board, and now what I would tell the president, please make the resource envelope bigger so that we reach the way you asked us to reach. And
empower these women.
And have their beautiful things activated together with what government has prepared, because right now we are driving the ICT in support of all TVET agenda. And I'll give you a very simple example. It's not very useful for your welder not to know how to use his phone to keep his customers. He has the phone.
He has
that's the one thing you're quite sure about right now. And it's not useful for your woman in the rural area to say, unfortunately I don't speak Swahili, so I'll have to turn to Luganda, to say, ebyo bintu bya technology abye Kampala fete tubimanyi, while holding a mute phone. You know, that non-smartphone.
Yes.
It does a lot. She's already in the technology space. And we have programs. We are running digital skilling. We've done it in 95 districts. We've done it.
So how do we lift up
women.
that particular woman? Because we have many of them. The roadside sellers, we have the roadside sellers, the entrepreneurs out there. The women, they're all set up like you put it. Our mothers and our elders out there. How do we lift up that particular sister?
The first one is awareness, and we are on that track. Right now we are running digital literacy programs. We've, like I was telling you, we've done it in 95 districts, and because of that, and created change agents who they access at places like churches, like local schools, where they are not scared to hear about these things. These are part of their communities. But we've also done those that were directed towards women. For instance, we did digital skilling in the whole of Nakawa division for the women to utilize mainly their phone to send their products directly to the customers and minimize the middlemen. I don't want to say eliminate, but minimize, and you know what comes with the middleman package. And those women were, the target was 5,000, and we went close to the target, very, very close to the 4,000s, all over Nakawa, Mutungo, wherever, all those markets.
And how was the reception?
Very good. It takes you to, again, this awareness part. I told you she's holding a mute phone, but she's saying, she doesn't even know that she's in the technology space.
And she's like, but
she's holding a phone and using it.
Oh, well, how can we lift up such a sister to also embrace this and enjoy the space?
For me, I would not divert far away from her, is that I think that most of us may have the resources, but we do not actually know how to utilize 100% of the resources. Very many people have smartphones, but if you asked them, so how do you use your smartphone?
I just receive and then call, and that's it.
And WhatsApp,
that's what they would
and
say.
like those basic. But there is a lot that your phone can actually do. So it still comes to awareness, sensitization, and knowing what you have and what it can help you to do what? To achieve. So I still go with her on the part of sensitization and awareness, creating awareness about what we have and what we can use to actually accomplish what we need to.
Well, for someone out there would be watching and is really like, I really want to be like Maureen, I wish I could be like Rachel. You know, they also want to stand out and shine, listening to everything that is coming out of you and the experience you've had. What are those best moments, some things you would cite out? You have a role model like, I looked up to this, my father helped me, held my hand. Such interesting stories for someone out there to be inspired. What are some of those things you would cite out, the best moments?
The best moment for me was when I got to learn of this program from someone in Israel, and he was tackling what was on my mind. We have to nurture the children from the start. So I was inspired by that man. He's called Amir Asol, and I set out to do the program. He has been there, he has helped in everything, he's very supportive. The entire organization is very supportive, and I would encourage the girl child or the woman out there to stand out. If there is something you want to do, go for it. The sky is not even the limit at this point. Thank you.
Amazing. Something you'd cite out that really has made you enjoy the tech world?
Well, I would say for me, I've been privileged to be surrounded by women of excellence. Right from school, I remember during the first week in school, we met a lady, an old girl of the school, who was faced with a challenge. She had a scholarship from 3 of the top universities in the world. I remember she had Harvard, Oxford, and I forget the 3rd university. So her challenge was picking where to go.
Can you imagine?
Yes, that was her problem. So throughout my life, I think I've been surrounded by women of excellence. And even now in my workspace, I work with so many amazing women, and they continue to inspire me to be the best that I can be, because I see them thriving and I know it's possible. So for me right now, it's basically about being an inspiration to other ladies out there. I want to recognize UBC for hosting this program. You're shining a light on so many excellent women out there, and it is my hope that the women out there watching this are inspired to know that they too can achieve what these ladies have achieved, and even more.
Wow. Great words of encouragement. Oh, Immaculate White here. One would be like, she's so young, you know? And she's into that kind of world, you get it. Why wouldn't she go start up her own business? Maybe downtown, you know, you do some bit of selling, some items. What would you say?
So for me, I think my best memory, or something that I really loved so much, is I think one time when I was working on a project, and it had taken me a long time, and I was the lead for that project. I was working on a high robot. So basically this is a robot that is supposed to welcome learners into the class and say, hello, you're welcome to the class. And it being accomplished, and it's now going out to the schools that we are partnering with, I think for me that was like my best moment. I'm like, okay, ladies can also lead a project and it comes to a completion. So kudos to my team that I worked with, we made it. And then the other thing that I think keeps me moving is seeing the people that we have passed on to the knowledge, being able to innovate. Like, I think we have recently concluded our January intake for internship, and the internship students came out with amazing projects, and all of them were working, and that gives me the joy. So we had a group that was working on a smart home automation system where they are looking at how electricity is being wasted in different home settings. Because Sandra has woken up late, she's on a rush, she leaves home, her lights are all on, maybe she has even forgotten to lock that door, and when she's here at work, she can be able to lock her door via her smartphone, she can be able to turn off the lights via her smartphone. So having such innovations come into play because of the skills that we have passed on to the students really gives me the joy, and it gives me the hope that we can still keep moving and make Uganda a better country to live in, surely.
Okay. Memory lane. Taking it down memory lane.
Yeah.
What stands out for you?
Quite a number of things stand out, but the most recent is to be in the space where it is much easier for me to reach the lowest level woman, but more so human being, to deliver this technology to them. I've enjoyed it for a very long time. I've enjoyed its benefits. I live off it. I love it. It's very dynamic. I follow it. For me to deliver that to the lowest level human being in this country, I think is the latest highlight for me. And I encourage all women out there, mothers, guardians, and anything in that bracket. We have the biggest power.
As women?
Nature. Just as animals that birth, that, you know, we have so much inner energy to drive so much. We are some, I think, of the few of these animal species that bring young that can't help themselves soon. It takes almost 2 years for our young to make anything meaningful physically. So I appeal to all the women to use it. My own mother really used it. Now I know. I didn't know then. She used it to push me very far into the science space. She was just a nurse. She had, at that time, the requirements were much lower. I only understood later that she really didn't understand these higher levels I was going to, and she was picking it from
She's
her
also
brother.
now getting to know.
Yeah, she was just picking it from her brother and saying, but this in S6, which she actually had no idea.
But I think she had an EE somewhere.
Yes. So I'm thinking that's the energy she used, and look what has become.
The inner energy.
So whichever woman, wherever they are, as long as they hold the responsibility of motherhood in any form, they are already good to go to push.
Not like in the so she really will. My daughter manage, you know. It's good to give them a push.
It is just to say, you know, what we're going to be no.
Yes, we're going to be taking
without actually, you don't even have to divulge that you don't know. I learned that from my mother.
I love the passion that is coming through, and of course enjoying
it's a
what you
power.
do.
It can
and
do
everything.
a lot.
You know, it hurts to wake up in the morning and like, I have to go to work. Then you think about it, even the next day and the other day. Well, time is against us. We have to let you go. Yeah, I wish one would share briefly. For someone to remember, Maureen said this. Let me go with it. It will help me enjoy my day. Rachel said this. Immaculate said this. Quickly, before we let you go.
So from Maureen, embrace STEM education from the grassroots, from the children, and take them higher for them to be prepared to work with the coming world or the ever-changing world. So we do STEM education. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to children aged between 4 and 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen.
You're welcome.
My take home is that technology or ICT is not for, it doesn't exclude anyone. It's not only for engineers, software engineers, or IT professionals. There are opportunities for everyone. in the digital space. Right now we are seeing influencers, content creators, social media marketers, social media managers, and all these are opportunities that are opening up because of technology or digital innovation. And so you do not need a degree to be a social media marketer. All you have to do is get into the space with confidence and you'll excel.
Well, thank you so much. Quickly, a quick one.
I will say that your network, and your network is your net worth.
A quick one.
For me, is we're here to support you, since this digital space is now not optional.
There's no more excuse.
It's not possible because to do your URA taxes, whether you went to school or not, it's online, right?
Very true.
So it's no longer optional, but it's to give a word out there. We are here to support you to thrive in this space, know about it. Come to ICT and enjoy all these government programs to boost this space.
Wow, it's been amazing spending time with the beautiful ladies right here. I will have to let you go. Enjoy the rest of the other programs, and of course, as you enjoy your day. I just appreciate my panel. Maureen at the extreme end, thank you so much for your time. Maureen Karamaji Rugendo is a Managing Director, African School of Innovations, Science and Technology, E2 Young Engineers, Uganda. And just next to her, we had a new Rachel, Enterprise Solutions Architect, MTN Uganda. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Immaculate Ainomjisha, Technical Associate at Fundi Boats. It was a pleasure having you on the panel. And just next to me, Agnes Lumala, Registrar UICT. Thank you for making time as well.
Thank you.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
As you lift up the sisters right there.
Thank you for your
No excuses for the ladies watching, for the people out there watching. Let's embrace the women as they also enjoy the tech space, because we all benefit when it comes to social and economic transformation of our nation, Uganda. My name is Sandra Kahunde. Looking forward to spending more time with you tomorrow, same time, same place. Keep it the national broadcaster. God bless you.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.